at any time. Thank you all for being here for an important topic that the committee has some keen interest and jurisdiction in, dealing with the postal reform that this Congress really needs to address. I want to thank Chairman Issa, the chairman previous to my becoming the chairman, who really, I think, laid a foundation, did a great deal of work on this topic and issue. So I thank the chairman for all the progress that was made at that time, and I think we've built on that. We're faced, though, with 10 consecutive years of financial losses at the Postal Service, totaling some $62 billion. The United States Postal Service isn't at a crossroad, it's at the crossroads. It's up to this Congress to address the challenges facing the Postal Service, its customers, the businesses that rely on it, and the taxpayers who will bear the burden if we fail to act. What I think I want the public to understand is that, by and large, there's no appropriation that Congress makes to the Postal Service. The Postal Service has to offer products and generate revenue in order to sustain itself. But there are some things that Congress can do to put it on a more even playing field to make the system more fair as it moves forward. And there are some reform efforts, things that may seem small to the outside, small on the surface, but that can make literally billions of dollars of difference in the financial equation for the Postal Service. And I would argue that as a tool of the economy, it is vital for us to have a good, strong, vibrant Postal Service. It happens to actually be one of the few things that's actually in the Constitution that we're supposed to be working on. So there are a lot of good things that we can do, but it really starts with the members in this room. Let's understand that the difficulties facing the Postal Service are significant. Since 2006, the annual volume of mail delivered by the Postal Service has declined by roughly 30%. While some of these losses are offsetted by unprecedented growth in package delivery, the new revenue is not enough. The Postal Service faces some $119 billion in unfunded liabilities, including $52 billion in liabilities just for retiree health care. Taxpayers will be left holding the bag for these liabilities if we fail to act. We don't want to be in a situation where there has to be a bailout, trying to avoid a bailout. I want people and members to understand that a failure to act will lead us down that path. To its credit, the Postal Service has not sat by idly. Recognizing the challenges, the Postal Service embarked on aggressive cost-cutting measures during the last decade. The agency reduced its career employee headcount since 2006 by roughly 200,000 people. These are people, real people with families and incomes, but that is a dramatic change. I wish others in the federal government had maybe acted as responsibly as the Postal Service has, because they were able to do it without resorting to layoffs. Unfortunately, despite these efforts, the Postal Service cannot fully address its challenges without legislative reform. And for that reason, the last Congress, we worked very closely with Ranking Member Cummings, and I want to really thank him. I also want to thank Congressman Meadows, who's the chairman of our subcommittee who oversees this. He's poured an untold number of hours and passion into this and expertise, trying to find a reasonable solution. Also heavily engaged, Representative Conley, Representative Lynch, trying to come together and craft a comprehensive bipartisan reform proposal. And that's what I think is also imperative. If we're actually going to get to the finish line and get a bill on the President's desk, I'd like to see that as a bipartisan reform proposal that we can all get behind and champion. I didn't get everything I wanted. Congressman Cummings didn't get everything he wanted. But that's the nature of coming up with a compromise without compromising your principles, but coming up with a compromise that we can all live with that puts the Postal Service on the financial trajectory that it needs to be. Last July, I was proud to see our committee favorably report the bill by a voice vote. Unfortunately, it didn't make it across the finish line before the end of the Congress, but we did make a lot of progress, particularly with getting the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, to come in and score the bill. Building on our legislation from last Congress, last week we introduced H.R. 756, the Postal Service Reform Act of 2007. Our bipartisan group of original co-sponsors grew by one with the addition of Congressman Dennis Ross. He was not on the committee in the last Congress, but he was on the committee before that and spent a lot of time working on the postal issues, and we appreciate his expertise. We're also benefited by the expertise of Brenda Lawrence. I want to thank her for her passion and commitment on this. She knows it firsthand, and she is a valuable voice in this legislation moving forward. In an era of partisan politics, this legislation represents a significant bipartisan compromise. The bill gives Postal Service the freedom it needs to successfully meet the business realities the agency faces. To do this, the bill allows the Postal Service to fully integrate its health care plans with Medicare. With such integration, the Postal Service can virtually wipe out its $52 billion retiree health care unfunded liability. Further, the bill achieves real savings by moving to more efficient mail delivery, saving the Postal Service more than $200 a year for each address that can be converted from the door-to-door delivery to centralized delivery. The bill also helps the agency more accurately evaluate its cost structure and reforms key governance matters. Our witness panel today represents a cross-section of the mailing industry stakeholders. I want to thank them personally. I also want to thank a lot of people that are in the audience today and others who we have spent considerable time with trying to come up with a reasonable bipartisan solution that puts the financial trajectory of the Postal Service in the right direction. It is a tool of the economy. It's something that affects every single American, and we need to get it right. With that, I will now recognize the Ranking Member, Mr. Cummings.